his head, not a pumpkin.
It was a joke.
Oh,
I mean, like
okay.
doing something with a pumpkin on your head.
Okay, well, hold on.
People call it a walnut. People make all kind of jokes. It's a Buckeye. We're Buckeyes. It's not a pumpkin.
It's the actual thing on his head. Is a buckeye. Right, I understand. Okay, maybe I didn't. Whatever.
See?
Just make your point.
Listen, this is a Buckeye tree. Cris Carter's got one. You got to be an All-American, get one. This is why it's so near and dear to his heart.
Yeah,
among
there's
other
not
reasons.
pumpkins growing from my tree.
But
So we're good with that?
most importantly is this. How is the best kicker in the state of Ohio the Ohio State mascot instead of the kicker for the Browns? Can he leave now and go sign with them?
Man, Ohio has one professional team. It resides in Columbus.
Okay.
Stop, man.
But is he the kicker for the do you think that was the actual Ohio State kicker dressed up as Brutus? Because a 60-yard field goal, man.
No, he'd rather stay in college. He don't want to be in pro.
Okay, it's better. Pay my
Time for stories to start your morning, brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. The 76ers named Elton Brand their general manager yesterday. Brand had spent the last 2 years working in the Philly front office. CC, what do you make of this?
Well, first, I think this is one of the best jobs in all of sports. Where else are you going to have two superstars under the age of 26 years old, 25 years old, and you can work with them forever almost? Now in the NBA, it's about relationships. How do you develop your younger talent? And that's what Elton Brand did in the G League. And people say that the G League is far more complicated. You're going to start seeing more players with recognition like Brand as a player because they demand the respect of the players currently playing. So I like the move. Talking to Broussard and Kustok, our NBA experts, they like the move also.
And I understand people's initial skepticism. This guy's 2 years removed from being a player, and a lot of people didn't know about the G League experience. This also signifies to me Brett Brown is the most powerful person basketball-wise in that franchise. And for Brett Brown,
we've seen guys in the league have a successful 6 games, even 2 or 3 seasons. But to do it for 5 to 8 years, oh no, we anointed him too soon.
All right, finally, Russell Wilson was running for his life most of the first 2 games of the year, and now head coach Pete Carroll believes Russell Wilson is over-trying a little bit. Nick, what's Carroll trying to say here?
I'm not certain exactly what Pete Carroll's trying to say here. What I think he's trying to do is find a reason why this beginning of the season has gone the way it has, why Russell does not seem to be on the same page as coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. There's a very interesting exchange right before the pick 6 of Russell Wilson instantly checking out of a play, checking to a successful play, the next play instantly checking out of a play, and with 15 seconds on the play clock, Pete Carroll calls timeout after seeing Russell Wilson check out of a play, and they have a heated exchange on the sideline. The next play, he throws a pick 6. So Russell seems to be, I don't know if I want to call it freelancing, but wanting to run the offense that he is most comfortable with, and there seems to be a butting of the heads with Brian Schottenheimer. But what the Seahawks have to deal with that, to me, no team in recent memories has had to deal with, which is a star quarterback that you actively, knowingly went into a rebuild phase during the prime of his career. Like, that's what the Seahawks' choices were this offseason, and now you start 0-2. You look like one of the bottom third teams in the league, and that's a tough thing to swallow when the quarterback knows how good he is and the head coach knows how good the quarterback is.
Yeah, I don't think Seattle's rebuilding. If you put Bobby Wagner back on that team, if you put KJ Wright back on the team, both of those guys, they're on the team. They're just hurt.
Injured.
If you put those linebackers back and you have them play 60 plays, that defense is going to be better. It's like baseball. You got to be strong up the middle. Those 2 linebackers and Earl Thomas back there is able to stabilize that young secondary. Offensively, when you don't have your number 1 offensive in Doug Baldwin outside of Russell, you don't have them. We know they had a shaky line. We know that they have a questionable running game. But if you add Doug Baldwin to that with Brandon Marshall and Lockett, no, they're not rebuilding. Russell is trying to do it because they don't have much talent. He is, but that's the same way Russell's played the last 4 years. If you watch him on the road, he turns the ball over more since 2016. There's only 4 quarterbacks thrown more interceptions than him on the road. So, yes, that's what he's doing because they don't have a lot of talent. He is trying hard, and on the road, it has led to some mistakes. As far as I'm not going to get into the play calling. I'm not going to get into him audibling because that's really hard to tell what the play was called, what he was actually trying to do. So I'm not going to get into that. That happens every game, every week in the NFL as far as what is a better play to run against this front. But Russell Wilson is one of the top 5 quarterbacks that we have in this league, and he is doing everything he can, battling injuries, an unprofessional offensive line for several years that they had. The last 2 years, they spent less resources on their offensive line, being money, than anyone else. So when you tell someone that, I'm going to put 5 guys in front of you, 2 of them didn't even play college football. How do you expect Russell to, remain cool in the pocket?
Well,
no, it's impossible.
The offensive line, I mean, we talked a lot about that last year. Through 2 games this year, he's being sacked at double the rate he was sacked last year. Last couple years, his sack percentage are just below 8%. This year, it's nearly 15% of his dropbacks he's being sacked. Like, we talked about the Giants and Eli, that Eli's got no shot with that offensive line. Russell, despite his athleticism, he is getting obliterated behind that offensive line, and that's not his fault. And that would lead to frustration, along with, as Cris astutely mentioned, not having Doug Baldwin for a team that keeps saying they're going to run the football, but has yet to find. I know they draft Rashad Penny. We'll see what he turns into, but have not found a reliable running attack.
Yeah.
You don't have Doug Baldwin. If Tyler Lockett's your number 1 option, they lost Paul Richardson this offseason, that's going to be tough for any quarterback.
Quickly, before we move on, has Russell Wilson earned the right to audible at the line to be able to change? He has, right?
He can do he's one of he can do whatever he wants at the line of scrimmage. And I understand C's point, which is we didn't hear the interaction. It was odd to me to see a coach call timeout when his team's trailing in the 4th quarter with 15 seconds on the play clock. That's what jumped out to me about that.
All right, let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have started the season 2-0 with wins over the Giants and the Patriots. With the Patriots struggling to get their offense right and the Steelers struggling to get players to show up, one anonymous NFL coordinator said that the Jaguars are the team to beat in the AFC. CC, are the Jags the most complete team in the AFC?
I mean, after 2 weeks, they have 1 win over New England. They have another good win against the Giants on the road. So it's just, I hate doing this. I hate because